is up? A tremendous Friday to you. I am Jim Rome. Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Let's freaking do this. I cannot wait to find out who is going to call today. It has been an all-time historic week in the way of telephone calls, and for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. I cannot wait to see who we hear from today. So, first thing I would like to do is open up the telephone lines. 1-800-636-8686. 1-800-636-8686. Have at it. Call me right now. Email address is Rome, R-O-M-E, at habitate.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jim Rome. Go to facebook.com/Jim Rome. Post some comments there. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? And I've got more of the same subject matter with updates, new takes, new topics relating to the same subject matter. So what I'm getting at is I would expect some more horrific telephone calls, and I can't wait to hear. All right, coming up later on this hour, we'll be joined by Anwar Richardson. He writes for OrangeBloods.com. UT Longhorns have not had a good week, and Charlie Strong has got a hammer in his hand. So we'll talk UT football a little bit later on this hour. Coming up in hour number 2, the football coach from Miami of Ohio, Chuck Martin. In the third hour, Bill Romanowski talks about Pat Bowlen and the Denver Broncos. I've got a gift card for the best tweet of the day. $50 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card. Best tweet wins it. Tweet at Jim Rome. Week that was also in hour number 3. All right, hit me right now. 1-800-636-8686. Alvin, how about a deck of yeah before we get this thing going? All right. Now I'm good. You know, I've slept on this topic. I've thought about this topic, and I still cannot believe it. Ray Rice uppercuts a woman. Roger Goodell hits him with a pillow. 2 games for knocking his fiancée, and now his wife, unconscious, and dragging her out of an elevator in Atlantic City. And the only folks who are not baffled by that are the morons who continue to insist, well, we don't know what she said. We don't know what she did to set him off. And the Ravens themselves, who continue to insist that Rice is such a great guy. He's not. You punch your lady, and you're the worst kind of guy. And let's be clear about this one more time. Rice did not have a bad night. He's a bad guy. And the Ravens can stop with this nonsense about how he just made a mistake. Leaving the air conditioning on when you leave for the weekend is a mistake. Turning out your lady's lights is an atrocity. But the Ravens just don't get it. I mean, forget for a moment that 2-game suspension is an absolute joke and that Rice is getting over like nobody's business. According to Peter King from SI, the team was, quote, chapped that Roger Goodell had the audacity to drop that 2-game suspension on Rice on the first day of training camp. They're actually upset about it, reportedly. These guys are an absolute train wreck. Sorry your wife beater took away from the positive buzz of your camp opening up. Make sure none of your guys ever hits another lady again, and then you'll never have to worry about it shifting focus from the start of your camp. But still, nobody there was more tone deaf than the head coach, John Harbaugh.
It's not a big deal. It's just part of the process. We always said from the beginning that the circumstances would determine the consequences. There are consequences when you make a mistake like that. I stand behind Ray. He's a heck of a guy. He's done everything right since. He makes a mistake, all right? He's going to have to pay a consequence. I think it's good for kids to understand it. It works that way. That's how it works. That's how it should be. And we'll move forward, and the next guy will have to step up, and then Ray will be back, when the time comes. So it's not something that we're dwelling on, as you said. We're not worrying about it. We're just moving forward.
How many things are wrong with that? For a bright guy, that's a pretty ridiculous statement. I mean, how many things are wrong with that? Starting with, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
And the coaches and their bullcrap process. It's all part of the process. Yeah, look, I know you guys all have processes. Nick Saban's all about the process. John Harbaugh's all about the process. But the process relates to things like making good choices, putting the team before you, being disciplined, being mentally tough, doing the same types of things every single day, being consistent, doing things that other people won't do that make you successful. That's process. Smashing in your wife's head is not a part of the process. This whole point, though, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. You see, there in a nutshell is your issue. The Ravens think that domestic violence is not a big deal. And the worst part is, Roger Goodell agrees with them. For shame, Shield. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Bad take, Coach. Very poor take. Dear Jim, forget the a.k.a. Forget the intro. Forget you're about everything you were going to cover in the first segment and go right to the phones. Given the decline in intelligence each day that we've gotten from Down syndrome is like homosexuality to it's okay to hit your ex if she's black, I can only imagine what new kind of stupid we'll be calling in today. Signed Ryan, not Ryan.
It's not Ryan, it's Ryan.
In Indy. Yeah, I said it myself. I can't wait to get back to the phone calls because those were the type of calls that I've received this week. Rome, the perfect end to this week would be a phone call from some loser saying, everybody has the gay syndrome. Everybody beats his woman. Everybody's doing everything. Thanks for the Rome. I'm out. More Albie's 45-minute weekend review. Yeah, normally it's 4 or 5 minutes. 45. I think we'll need an entire hour to cover this week. Calls were not good. You ever notice the more serious the subject matter, the worse the telephone call? And we've had some very serious subject matter this week and some pretty terrible telephone calls. We'll see. We'll see what the next 3 hours holds. The subject of this email is Roger Goodell testifying on behalf of Aaron Thal. In other words, the defense calls NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Mr. Goodell, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I do. Quote, listen, Your Honor, look at it this way. He may have murdered 3 people, but he's an upstanding, charitable citizen up until those murders. Plus, he has apologized. And I'm sure those people that he murdered were alive. They, too, would apologize for their role in the incident. Sure, you found some firearms, but it's not like you found weed on him or anything. Have you ever had a drink spilled on you? Signed, Roger Goodell on the stand. Nick and the Natty. Well played, Nick. Extremely well done. Extremely well done. Because that's pretty much what we're talking about here. Smoke some dope a couple of times, get 4 games. Punch your wife in the head and knock her out, get 2 games. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Do roids, get 4 games. Punch your lady in the face and put her to sleep, get 2 games. In college, sell your memorabilia, get 5 games in the NFL. Punch your lady in the face or in the head in the NFL and get 2 games. I mean, Terrell Pryor was suspended for 5 games in the NFL for selling memorabilia in college. Fact. 5 games. Oh, and anytime you want to get around doing something about Robert Irsay, that'd be cool. That'd be great. You know, one last thought on this. Jim Irsay, I should say. One last thought on this. Goodell did right in his decision when handing down that 2-game suspension. He wrote, quote, I believe that you, Rice, I believe that you are sincere in your desire to learn from this matter and move forward toward a healthy relationship and successful career, end quote. I mean, really, Raj? Was he sincere in his desire to do that, or was he sincere in his desire to do and say whatever the hell he could to ensure that you did not break him off for half the season and rip a few $1 million for him? He's not sorry he did it. He's sorry he's in this position. And if you don't knock, or if you knock your fiance out, it's not just a bad night, you're a bad guy. I mean, I can't believe that's what he wrote. I really believe that you're sincere in trying to turn your life around. I really believe that you're sincere in trying to move forward from this. Yeah, I'm sure. Or not. Or maybe he's telling you what you want to hear, so he gets a 2-game suspension instead of a 6-game suspension or an 8-game suspension. All right, he's not the only one. Then you've got the case of Chuck Knobloch. He had himself a night. He's had himself a life, hasn't he, Knobloch? I'll have that story for you. Somebody's got to pull the Houston Rockets off of Chandler Parsons. What is with these guys? Man, keep moving. He's gone. He's not the one looking back, throwing haymakers, taking shots, pointing the finger. Why are these guys all over Parsons? Turns out Marshawn Lynch ain't always about that action, boss. Because reportedly, the Beast is going to hold out. And in fact, reportedly, he may even retire if he doesn't get what he wants. And it sure does not look like Seattle is going to give it to him. Cleveland, you knew it could not last forever. I can only sit here so many times and hype C-Town this summer before something bad happened, something negative happened. I will have that. Speaking of Ohio, you hear scandal and Ohio State in the same sentence, and what do you think? You think of Jim Tressel's vest, you think of Gordon Gee's bow tie. The one thing you don't think of is the woodwind section getting hazed while the dudes with oboes get their perv on. You heard me. Pervs in the band. They're out of control. Sex addicts, allegedly. This email says, the real irony is, if Ray Rice had been smoking weed, guarantee he wouldn't be hitting anyone, he'd be hugging them. Signed Alex in D.C., everyday smoker. I don't know, Alex. I don't know about that. I'm betting there are people that burn blunts that hit other people. He signed it, Alex in D.C., everyday smoker. All right, so this week we had somebody sign an email by putting in their bench press figure, 300-pound bencher, and now we have somebody who puts in the number of times a week he smokes every day. Yeah, Alex, what is that? Let's go ahead and extrapolate for a minute. You roll out of bed in the morning and you burn, or you go to work and you burn, or you don't work and you just burn. I mean, are you a wake and bake? Or do you bake at the end of the day? Cup of coffee, wake and bake. Anyway, Anwar Richardson later on this hour. Chuck Martin next hour. Bill Romanowski in hour number 3. We talk to you clones about Camping World. At Camping World, we feature the best RV products at the best prices to fit your budget. Join 250,000 happy RV buyers who will all enjoy rock bottom pricing on everything, such as travel trailers starting at $109 a month, motorhomes as low as $399 a month, with finance rates starting at 4.99%. When you buy an RV from Camping World, you gain access to our Good Sam Elite loyalty program, offering incentives valued at over $2,000. So, get road ready with RV service specials from your trusted Pro Care team. And Camping World has over 10,000 products and accessories for the RV lifestyle. Chairs, bikes, grills, and more. It is simple. We will beat every single dealer's price. We guarantee that. Visit campingworld.com and find a super center near you, and with over 100 of them worldwide, nationwide, you'll find one. Payments not inclusive of tax, title, license, and dealer dock fees. Where applicable, see dealer for complete details. Go to campingworld.com. I always love rolling in here, and then after segment number 1 especially, finding out what it is you're all responding to, reacting to, what you want to talk about. And it's always interesting to me. Sometimes I can predict it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes y'all shock me. Today it's no shock. The biggest topic right now on the show are the phone calls this week from the show. Not the topics themselves, not the issues, not what's going on, but the actual calls in response to all those issues. For instance, this email reads, "What it do, Vine? Wow, 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 wow. The Mount Rushmore of world's worst takes is almost complete. Number 1, homosexuality is a choice. Number 2, being gay is a disease. Number 3, black women are crazy. All we need is Bodie to call in and attempt to explain why being attracted to your own kin is not a choice, and the mountain will be complete. Pick up the phone, Bodie. Signed, Eric. Near the Canadian Falls. / in Brentwood fan. Wore Sammy De La Creme Watkins. Wore my wrestling prowess. Well, anyway, the first three things you mentioned all were takes on the show this week. People calling up and trying to make the point that, number one, homosexuality is a choice. Number two, being gay is a disease. And number three, black women are crazy. Somebody did call the show yesterday and say, Rome, you just don't know. You don't know. The guy said to me, as an African-American male, I can tell you, black women can make you do things. Mike in Detroit, you just don't know, Rome. And my response was, you're right, Mike, I don't know. Explain it to me. All right, if you missed that phone call, I don't need to play it in its entirety, but in part, it sounded like this.
Ray Rice is a black male, a young black male in his 20s. Dealing with a black female, man, I'm in my 40s. Been dealing with black females my entire life. They have a way of just going off on you in a way that you would not believe, man, that will make you go straight lose it on them. I don't know what happened inside that elevator, but Ray Rice is a black male. He's dealing with a black female. She could have went ham on him in the elevator, and this could have been his first time he ever hit her like this. And it just happened to be caught on surveillance camera. We don't know. But all I'm saying is, as a black man, and he's a black male, dealing with a black female, he's dealing with a totally different breed.
So that was yesterday. His point is, I'm telling you, as a black male, I've dealt with black females my entire life. And I'm here to tell you he's dealing with a, quote, totally different breed. He also hit on something else that I've had to address all week long. We don't know what happened in that elevator. Quote, we don't know if she went ham on him. And again, we don't know, and I don't care. There's nothing that she could have done or said in that elevator to justify him knocking her out. He may have been enraged. He's got to get the hell out of that elevator and get out of that casino or hotel or wherever he was and take a walk around the block. Because punching out your fiancée is not an option. No matter if she did, quote, go ham. Or what she said. So that's the week we've had on this program now. Normally you wonder why I don't take a lot of telephone calls. Number one, because I work and I don't rely on them. And number two, because people say crazy things. Irresponsible things. Not things that I disagree with, per se, but crazy, irresponsible things like, you need to know black females, Rome. They will make you go straight crazy. What kind of take is that? And by the way, if I'm African American and I hear something like that, I'm not happy to hear that at all. Male or female. And there's a lot more that came from. Chuck Knobloch. I mean, I'd love to say that Ray Rice is the only athlete batterer that we've talked about this week, but he's not. In fact, far from it. Carolina's Greg Hardy was convicted last week. Washington's Fred Davis turned himself in yesterday. And it's not just football. Baseball has its share of brain deads as well. Take former big leaguer Chuck Knobloch. He was supposed to go into the Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame next month, but couldn't stay down long enough even to get in. The offer is off the table after he was arrested for allegedly assaulting his ex-wife. And this mugshot's an all-timer. He's in a bad way when you see his mugshot. And if you think the mugger looks bad, what he's been accused of is even worse. His ex-wife says that she was sleeping in her child's bedroom when the former All-Star stormed into the room screaming, allegedly intoxicated, and screaming that she should have slept with him. According to the police report, and I quote, when she got up from the bed, she said that the defendant grabbed her and began to smash her head against the wall. He then threw a humidifier at her. End quote. And save your idiotic jokes about how, yeah, well, it's not like he hit her with the humidifier, Rome. Not if he threw it at her. It obviously skipped past her or sailed way over her head. It's not funny. Again, If this is true, this is what's been alleged, that's what the police report says, and given this guy's track record, it is hard to give him any benefit of the doubt. But if it's true, again, we're not talking about a bad night, we're talking about a really bad guy. I mean, seriously, Chuck, what the hell is the matter with you? What is wrong with you? Apparently a whole lot, because that is not the first time he's been accused of assaulting a woman. From turning to a cheater to a serial woman beater, somebody's got to lock this loser up. And save your breath. Do not waste your breath on, hey, Rome, it's not just an athlete problem, it's a societal problem. I know. It absolutely is. It absolutely is, and there's no easy solution. But I know this, doing nothing is not going to fix it. And this is a sports talk show, so I'm just talking about the athlete batterers this week. We'll take on the rest of society on another program. So there's plenty more where that came from. This is not just Ray Rice. There's been a whole lot of that this week. And a whole lot of bad phone calls to go along with it. Texas has got some issues. Charlie Strong comes in, rules with an iron fist and makes it very clear to everybody in that program. We've got some core principles now. You will adhere to the core principles or you're not going to make it. You will not stick. And a few guys have gotten on the wrong side of him, and now they're gone, just like that. In other words, quote, you can lead the new culture or you can get run over by it. He is not messing around at all. When we come back, we're going to talk about it with Anwar Richardson, who writes for OrangeBloods.com. UT football is our topic next. It's Friday, so we're wide open. Look, I'm not looking for bad phone calls. I'm just getting bad phone calls. You don't need to be terrible to call. In fact, I'd rather you not be. 1-800-636-8686. Maybe you're one of those people who typically listens and never had a reason to call, but now you're hot and you want to. Go ahead. Hit us up. Best tweet today gets a $50 gift card from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bill Romanowski in hour number 3 talks about Pat Bowlen stepping down and no longer running the Broncos day to day. All of that still ahead today. Do not go anywhere. This is CBS Sports Radio. Coming up later on, we are talking Miami of Ohio football with head coach Chuck Martin. Romo back in the jungle. Want to talk some basketball, too. As I mentioned, somebody's got to pull the rockets off Chandler Parsons. He's gone, but his former teammates continue to pile on and crack back on him. First, it was Dwight Howard who said that Parsons' departure, quote, won't affect us at all. Which I thought was pretty rich, given that Parsons went above and beyond to recruit Dwight to Houston. And the second he's gone, he's like, yeah, we're not going to miss that guy at all. That will not affect us at all. You know, but that's just Dwight being Dwight. Dwight says and does foolish things, even at this point in his career. However, James Harden is different. And Harden smacked Parsons too. Quote, Dwight and I are the cornerstones of the Rockets. The rest of the guys are role players or pieces that complete our team. We've lost some pieces and added some pieces. I think we'll be fine next season. End quote. I mean, seriously, what did Parsons ever do to any of you other than make you better? Stop acting like this guy's some sort of scrub or merely some dude who fills a role or who sat at the end of the bench. Scrubs don't get invites to USA Basketball's training camp. Scrubs do not average 17, 6, and 4. Numbers which, by the way, that are better than Harden's were in his final year as the third option in OKC. And the guy's better than Trevor Ariza, who's nice, but the guy who was brought in to replace him. And while Parsons has tried his very best to take the high road, he's hurt his team, former team, smashing him now that he's gone, and he doesn't like it. He's done his very best to take the high road, but when he came on this show earlier in the week, and I asked him what he thought about Dwight Howard saying we won't miss him at all, it won't affect us at all, he said, that guy's my guy, that's my friend, he's got to take up for his team, but those comments are, quote, ridiculous.
Sometimes the media can spin some comments, and I obviously wasn't there for that interview, and, knowing him, I know he didn't mean it, but, he's one of my closest friends, and he's got to stick up for his current team, and he's got to be confident with the Rockets now moving forward, and with or without me there. So I understand where he's coming from. I think it's a ridiculous statement, but, it is what it is.
The man's smooth. He went high road. He tried to take up for his guy. He said, that's my friend. The one thing I don't agree with, though, and he said, you know, the media will spin these things. The media is not spinning anything because he's not the only one saying it. He said it. James Harden said it. They're not spinning anything. I'll finish that thought momentarily, but I mentioned it's not been a good week for the Texas Longhorns. Well, depending on your point of view. Charlie Strong comes in, laid down the law, and he is sticking to it. I'm joined right now by somebody who covers the Longhorns for OrangeBloods.com and Rivals.com, our guest, Anwar Richardson. Anwar, nice to have you on. How are you?
Nice to finally talk to you, Jim. I actually went to one of your tour stops in Tampa years and years ago, so it's nice to finally be on with you.
My man, that's nice of you to say. Was that the one where Ray Buchanan got up and rapped?
Classic and epic. Yes, my man.
All right, good. I love it. It's good to have you on. Thanks so much. All right, so it's been a busy last 24 hours for the Longhorn football program. 3 players kicked out of the program, 2 others suspended indefinitely. What is the mood like in Austin today?
Well, you know, there are a lot of people who are rallying around Charlie Strong because, you know, if there's a total, his way or the highway type of guy, it's been Charlie Strong. And basically, Charlie Strong is trying to change a culture, and a bad culture that he feels like needs to be changed here at the University of Texas realm. And as much as they don't want to come out and say it, this is the anti-Mac Brown campaign. And what has happened is they're going against everything that he's kind of done. And so what Charlie Strong has done is he's taken over this program. He's basically kicking butt and taking names. He has laid down the law, and he's laid down a lot of principles. And he's told people, you either abide by my rules or you're out of this program. The rules that he's laying down, Jim, are not rules that you and I don't abide by in everyday society. But what he's doing is sending a clear message to the fan base, clear message to his players, clear message to everyone in the media, whoever's involved, that if you're not listening, if you're going to do the bad things as a student athlete, don't forget you're a student first, that you will not be a part of the Texas Longhorn program.
Anwar Richardson joining us. He covers the Texas Longhorns for OrangeBloods.com and Rivals.com. Let's talk about some of these incidents. You've got 2 players, Kendall Sanders and Montrell Meander, suspended indefinitely from the team after being arrested and charged with felony sexual assault stemming from an incident last month. From what you know, what happened during that incident in question?
Well, you know, I played the affidavit, and I tweeted that out and was able to talk to the police chief yesterday. You know, essentially, again, we got to always use the word alleged, but allegedly, as these guys are getting together, they meet up, on 6th Street down here in Austin, and basically, without getting too graphic, they end up sexually assaulting this girl, allegedly, within the dorm room on campus. One of the guys takes a picture of her after the act is done. She calls the police, gets the police involved. The guys are trying to corroborate. They're text messaging each other, trying to get their story straight. There's even a picture of the girl on their phone once the police arrive. The police take that into evidence. It ends up being one of those such horrific stories. I don't even want to get graphic with it, but because it's one of those things that are so bad that you don't know how either one of them can recover from that because of the graphic nature of what was allegedly done.
That said, and Charlie Strong made it very clear what he expected of all of his student athletes when he first arrived. What do you think his reaction was when he first heard that news?
He had to be disappointed. I mean, listen, Charlie Strong has laid down what he views as his 5 core values. His first core value is honesty. His second core value is treat women with respect. His third core value is no drugs. Fourth core value is no stealing. Fifth core value is no guns. He told me recently, especially at the Big 12 Media Days, the easiest way to get kicked off his team and not be a part of his program is to break one of his core values. Everything that we listed there, Jim, honesty, treat women with respect, no drugs, no stealing, no guns. That's not asking a lot. Those are the same rules that all of us have to live with in everyday society. So why not teach it to these young men at an early age? This is what's expected of you. But again, I tell you, it goes back to the culture change. Jim, when he got here, guys used to take an AC chartered bus to practice. It was only a quarter of a mile. Charlie Strong came in here and said, everybody has to walk. boosters used to be allowed to go to practice, and they would be able to stand on practice and stand on the sidelines. And Charlie Strong came in and said, no more boosters. I'm not prohibiting this. He's told the guys, you cannot throw that hook 'em horn signs anymore until I deem that it's necessary. You feel like you've earned it. Every guys used to be able to live off campus after their freshman year. He came in and said, guys, you can no longer live off campus until your senior year, and only if I feel like you worked hard enough and you have earned it. There's a Longhorns emblem that stands in their locker room. Charlie Strong has roped off that Longhorns that emblem and told them nobody's allowed to be around it until you have earned it. He took away protein smoothie shakes, Jim. I mean, he's told guys they can't wear earrings. He's required players that they have to sit in the first 2 rows of classes. And he tells them they can't wear headphones in class, no texting in class, they need to take notes. However, whatever, he's doing everything he can to change around the culture. And again, when we talk about the Sanders, we talk about Meander, if you're not a part of the culture, he's putting you out of his program. Listen, since he's been here, Jim, last thing I'll say, 6 guys have been dismissed from the program. 2 guys are indefinitely suspended. He's basically on a roll at this moment.
All right, Anwar Richardson, my guest. 6 guys dismissed, 2 suspended. I mean, you lay this thing out. He's being very, very rigid. I get it. I respect the hell out of it. But how is it playing with the players, and how is it playing with the fans and boosters?
I talked to the players, and they told me they felt like it was necessary. They felt like it was out of control. They felt like there was not enough discipline, and they all told me they like that they finally have someone who's keeping them accountable, because they felt like the rules weren't the same all across the board for everybody. Some guys got away with some things, other guys didn't. They like that. As far as the boosters, as far as the supporters of the program, they're behind it. Now listen, was Charlie Strong everyone's first choice? I think we all know that he wasn't. That's obvious. That's well documented. Everyone's rallying behind it. Everyone's getting behind it. And Jim, if he wins, they'll say this is a great move. And if he loses and he can't find a way to win within the next few years here, then everybody's going to say he was too much on the other side. Because you know, Jim, when guys fire someone and bring in someone different, they always go with the opposite. Andy Reid gets fired. He had a lot of NFL experience, so what do you go with the opposite? You bring in a Chip Kelly. Greg Schiano's rigid. He was too much, so what do? You bring in a guy who's a Lovie Smith. Same thing with Jim Schwartz, and the difference between him and Jim Caldwell. They wanted a guy to come in and clean up the program. So the AD is good with it, and everyone else is taking a wait-and-see approach. But he's got to win for it to really go over well here.
Anwar, I've got about 2 minutes. I'm glad you brought up the NFL. Let me ask you this. You covered the Buccaneers at the Tampa Tribune, the Detroit Lions for M Live, and you've been an NFL Hall of Fame voter. How does all of that compare to covering Texas football?
Well, I tell you what, I thought going into this that I might get a little bit of a reprieve, Jim. But right now, this thing is about as crazy as covering an NFL team. You know, all these guys are good guys. You got to look for the good in a lot of them. But you know what? On every level, you have guys who make mistakes, and you have guys who don't get it. And on each level, guys have been afforded opportunities, given an opportunity that the most people would give their left, right arm, whatever the case may be, to be in their shoes. And often some guys get it and they grasp it, but the minority always sometimes speaks to the majority, and it's unfortunate when those people overshadow the good that everyone else is doing.
Anwar Richardson covering the Texas Longhorns for OrangeBloods.com and Rivals.com. Anwar, I'm glad we finally got together and got this done. Great to have you on. We'll do it again.
Take care, buddy.
You too, man. Be good. I like that. I like that when a peer says, hey, by the way, I'm glad we finally got to talk. I went to a toy stop back in the day. I like his energy, and I like what he had to bring to the table. As I go to break, let me ask you, UT fans. All right, so he just mentioned it. We're talking about 6 guys suspended, 2 more indefinitely. 6 kicked out, I should say, 2 suspended. 8 players, some key players. If you're a Longhorn fan, I would love for you to get on the phone and talk to me about this. Do you like what you're seeing from Charlie Strong, or are you concerned that he might be getting rid of too many players? Yeah, this has long been a big Mac Brown house. I've defended Mac Brown. I like Mac Brown. I respect Mac Brown. Nothing's changed. I like what I'm seeing right here, though. I mean, it's too bad that you've got to actually state these as core beliefs. You will not do drugs. You will not steal. You will not skip class. But he had to do it, and even though the guy puts it on paper, puts it on a wall, guys still don't get it. I mean, do you look at Charlie Strong and think that guy's messing around? Do you think the guy doesn't mean it? Do you think that guy's kidding? Look at him. You want to test that guy? So apparently some have, and they've lost. They've failed. And I like the approach. They need some discipline. Right, but if you're a UT fan, if you're a booster, they're doing things totally differently. I mean, no more smoothies, no more protein shakes. You will walk to practice. You don't get a charter bus anymore. No boosters on the sideline. Out. Aubrey tweeting at Jim Rome in bold. Love hearing about all these changes Charlie Strong is making in Texas. Discipline. Turning boys into men. UT fan, do you like it? All right, we'll come back and start off hour number 2. More on that. I'll finish my thought on the Rockets and Marshawn Lynch threatening a holdout, if not retirement, if he doesn't get what he wants. All still ahead. This is CBS Sports Radio. Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio, as you know, I am Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. All right, so we made it through the first hour without any of those horrible phone calls that I've been getting every single day. You know, it used to be that if you had one really, really bad call, legendary call, historic call, people would talk about it for an entire week on this show. We've had like 3, but nothing in hour number 1. I reset Ray Rice, and I gave you the reaction of Roger Goodell and why he said what he did. And although it's not as bad as the actual act itself, the Ravens to me are embarrassing. They really are. Their reaction to it, what they're saying about it, the fact that, according to Peter King, they were, quote, chapped, that the suspension came down on the first day of training camp. You're like, what? Would you like to go to the commissioner and let him know when he can discipline your player? Something he barely did anyway. You imagine how bent they are? Yeah, great. Way to go, commissioner. Way to go. Day 1 of training camp. You had to drop that on us now. How about this? Your guy doesn't punch his fiancée in the head. You don't have to worry about it. So they're upset about that. They think the punishment fit the crime. John Harbaugh, you heard him. Quote, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Really, John? Because most of us think domestic violence is a very big deal. I love the way at the end of it, too, he talks about the message that it sends kids. And the message, I'm not getting that message. The message I'm getting is that you and the Ravens think that it's not a big deal that Ray Rice turned his fiance's lights out. And even worse, the NFL doesn't think it's a big deal because they suspend guys for 4 games if they roid or they bake, but not if they punch a woman out.
It's good for kids to understand that it works that way. That's how it works. That's how it should be.
Well, that's how it should be. You knock out your fiancé and you get 2 games. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be just 1 game. Good thing they didn't suspend him for the coin flip for the opener. What a bad look for the Ravens. To me, they couldn't handle this any worse. 1-800-636-8686. But it's not just a Ray Rice thing. It's not even just a football thing. We talked about Chuck Knobloch. Similar situation. Got into it with his ex-wife. She alleges that he snapped and began to smash her head up against the wall. So now he's got a mugger that's gone viral, and the Twins were going to induct him into their Hall of Fame next month, and they decided not to do it. Good choice. Not really sure why he was going in the first place. I want to finish the thought on Chandler Parsons. I mentioned that at first Dwight Howard said, we're not going to miss him at all. Quote, won't affect us at all. When I asked Parsons about that on this show, he covered Dwight, said he understood it, said they were good friends, thought it was a ridiculous statement, but then he covered him. And then James Harden comes out and says something similar. Dwight and I are the cornerstones of the Rockets. The rest of the guys were role players or pieces that complete our team. We lost some pieces and added some pieces. I think we'll be fine next season. Why are they all acting? Why are they going out of their way to act like they're not going to miss this guy? Because they will. They will. Listen, I'm not saying that Chandler Parsons is LeBron James. I am saying he's not Chris Humphries. And his former teammates are piling on a guy who's minding his own business and has moved on. So this is a bad look. This is on them. Shut it down, H-Town. Let's go home. Get off this guy. So you want to talk about any of that? I want to talk about Marshawn Lynch as well. Dear Jim, as a lifetime Longhorn fan, I could not be happier with Charlie Strong's approach. This team badly needed a tough, disciplined coach, and Strong is proving he was the right choice. While an undergrad, 05 to 09, I worked at the athletics department, and I saw the lack of discipline firsthand, and how chummy Mac was with donors, and how deeply they had infected the program. Happy to see Strong is completely changing that mentality, and even happier that the majority of the players are completely on board. CJ and H-Town wore Charlie Strong out benching most of the Longhorn team. That's well said. I like Mac. I thought Mac had a great career. I thought Mac had a great run there. I thought Mac did a very good job. But when you make a change like that, very clearly you're going to go hire somebody who's different than what you had already, or you wouldn't be making the change. Anwar Richardson said, in effect, Charlie Strong is like the anti-Mac Brown. Nothing against Mac Brown. But it's true. The program was lacking in discipline. It was starting to get away. They need to make a change. So you have to hire somebody who is the antithesis to what you had, and Strong is that. I love what he's doing. The guy's not making any unreasonable demands, all right? Don't steal. Don't have guns. Don't skip class. I mean, you got to put this on a board somewhere. You have to tell people to do this. I love it. And the little things, too. You're not taking a charter bus a quarter of a mile to practice. You're going to walk there. You're not moving off campus your sophomore year. You can do it your senior year if I think you're ready. You can't throw hook 'em horns on anybody until I say it's time. No headphones in class. Sit in the front row. Or the first two rows. I like it. I like it. I love it. Now, if it doesn't work and they don't win, then everybody will point the finger and say, hey, man, that doesn't play anymore. That old school stuff doesn't work. Yes, it does. You just got to bring in guys who buy in. How do things like that not work? What, discipline doesn't work? Accountability doesn't work? Insisting the kids go to class doesn't work? If none of that works and that's not about the right thing, then we all got problems. I love it. And when you look at a guy like Charlie Strong, it's one thing if you've got one of those coaches who's like slovenly, soft, fat, not showing any kind of self-control himself or discipline, coming in and demanding all those things of their players. Like if you have no names mentioned, but if you have a morbidly obese head coach who's banging on the table, you need to show self-control. You need to delay self-gratification. You need to make good choices. You need to be disciplined. You have to show mental toughness. If you're looking at a so-called leader who you think exhibits none of that, yet he's making those demands on you, that's not going to work. But if you look at a guy like Charlie Strong, who's all business, who's shredded, who looks like he could outbench most of that team, and he's making those demands of you, you know he's made similar demands of himself, and you're going to react. And if you don't, you're going to find someplace else to work or go to school. Charlie Strong can say, we're not having smoothies anymore. Another coach might say to you, hey, are you going to finish that smoothie? Or, boys, no more smoothies. Move the smoothie machine to my office. Charlie Strong is not asking anything of his guys that he's not already doing himself. I mean, look at this guy. I love it. I think it's great. I'd want that guy coaching my kid. Rome, sorry you've had bad calls all week. If it makes you feel better, we are raising money to build a statue outside your studio for the next caller who doesn't get run. Signed, Seahawk fans. I'm telling you, it's going to jump the weekend. That will jump the weekend. The fact that some members of the so-called 12th man are trying to raise money for a Richard Sherman statue, not a Super Bowl statue, but a conference title game statue, not a pick six statue, but a deflection statue. If you're going to build this guy's statue, you better build him doing an interview with Aaron Andrews. That's the statue. This guy also wars Hope Solo and Ray Rice getting in the octagon with weapons.
Hope Solo is going psychotic. She's beating people up, and we need help.
I don't know that Ray wants anything to do with Hope. I don't know if Bones Jones wants to get in the octagon with Hope. Trey and Cheyenne. All right, let's go to San Antonio. Start the phone calls off with great trepidation. We go to San Antonio. Larry, you are first up today. Hi, Larry. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Jim. Thanks for having me. Let me tell you, there's some leakage now that Roger Goodell's decision on the 2-game suspension was affected by the fact that there's some video that she was going upside his head and trying to kick him in his groin. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm a 50-year-old man, and I could tell you that when I was a younger man, I cheated on the girlfriend, and then she started going wacko on me, kicking me in my groin, going upside my head, pretty much ass whoopee. And as all I did was I did place my hands on her. I put my hands around her and restrained her until she calmed down, and then I got the hell out of there. There is absolutely no reason, and that's absolutely sick. I've lost all respect for Jim Harbaugh. Hey, diddle, Ray Rice up the river. I mean, this guy should be put away for a little time. It's ridiculous, the message we're sending. And what is Harbaugh and his team thinking? I mean, it's just an absolute trust. And Roger, go to hell. I mean, please, 2 games. I'm just astonished, Jim. I just cannot believe it.
Rack the phone call. Larry, let me correct you. John Harbaugh, not Jim Harbaugh. But I understand why you're angry. All right, so he says that there's video surveillance of her freaking out in the elevator and that she was hitting Ray Rice and kicking him in the groin. I don't know whether or not that's true. Apparently, they've got video of the whole thing. Not just the video we've seen, but video of the whole thing. All right, let's play that out. Was she a physical threat to him? Did she swing on him? Did she try to kick him in the groin? Nice. If true, the two of them are standing in the middle of an elevator and kicking and throwing haymakers right before they're about to get married. I'm sure that marriage is going to be awesome. Even if it's true, I still stand by what I said, and I agree with what that caller just said. You get yourself the hell out of that situation as quickly as possible. You don't need to defend yourself. How big is she? Have you seen her? He's Ray Rice, man. He is strong as hell. He is an NFLer. He's 5'8", like, 215? He's a cinder block. You cannot swing on your lady, even if she tries to swing on you in the elevator. I don't buy it. Get off the elevator, take a long walk. You know, unless she's got a gun to your temple, you just get the hell off the elevator and you take a long walk and you get yourself out of that situation before you do something you're going to greatly regret. And the fact is he did do something that he should greatly regret, but the consequences don't match the crime itself. Right, that guy was very angry. 1-800-636-8686. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, there's Bodie. Bodie's classic like that. Bodie gets called out by somebody, and then Bodie calls back quickly. I like it. You have your telephone number. A call from Bodie's coming up momentarily. We'll come right back. Thousands of people looking for home security get ripped off every single day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that that's your only option. That or you get robbed. They've got hordes of salesmen out there. They're trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing fat checks month after month, and there is no way out. Right, wrong. You see, that's robbery in itself by contract. It can cost you thousands, but there is a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts, none at all. You get 24/7 protection, trained professionals watching over your home, and ready to call the police for only $15 a month. That is less than 1/3 of what most companies will charge for the same exact service. Simply Safe. Protect your home. Protect your family. Thousands of clones have done it already. Do it the smart way. Go to simplysaferoam.com. Go right now. Get an exclusive 10% offer. Once again, simplysaferoam.com. simplysaferoam.com. One of the best value propositions I have ever seen. Simply Safe Roam. I see this guy working. I don't agree with it, but I see this guy working. Sometimes when I say I see this guy working, it means I appreciate where he's going with it. Not this time. When I say I see this guy working, I see what you're trying to do. Rome, Charlie Strong isn't allowing his players to have guns? Good. The United States should do the same thing for its citizens. If you need a gun to feel like a man, you aren't one. And anybody who feels differently can kiss my butt. War the banning of all firearms in the United States. Double war me writing every word of this email just to troll out even more bad callers. Kevin in La Jolla. See, Kevin probably doesn't even agree with that. Or maybe he does. He's just trying to inspire more bad calls. Like, come on, Rome. Show's getting pretty boring. Boring! There are no bad calls. Nobody's trying to equate homosexuality with Down syndrome. Boring! You're losing it, Rome. The show's doing great this week. Let's spice it up. Come on now, Vance Mack. It's Friday. Send us off from the weekend with something good. Need a good phone call. What do you know, Rome? Obviously, mailing it in and checking out early and starting the weekend halfway through your show. Come on now. You do your work, Rome. You do some work. All right, I'll take a phone call. See how we do. 1-800-636-8686. Let's go to Idaho. William in Idaho. It's good to have you. William, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. You?
I'm great.
All right. Hey, with this Ray Rice thing, I think he should have got suspended for more games and whatnot. But in the same sense, I believe that if a woman raises her hand to you like a man, she has stepped into that man's position, and to defend yourself. If that's what it's got to take to lay her out, then do it.
All right, so if a woman raises her hand, she's no longer a woman, then she's a man. So it's like man v man, mano y mano, right?
Exactly.
And then if she raises her hand to a man, he's got no choice. He's just got to lay her out, right?
Well, if that's what it takes, then yes.
Well, I would say no, that's not what it takes. Here's the difference. All right, so there's a call for you. He just went on record as saying, hey, look, he probably deserved a bigger suspension, but if she raises her hand, she's no longer a woman, then she becomes a man. No, actually, she's still a woman. And not only is she still a woman, but she's probably still outweighed by, 75, 100 pounds, which is exactly the point. That's why men don't hit women. They're at a huge disadvantage. They're not as strong. They cannot defend themselves like that. I mean, even if Ray Rice is only 5'8", right? Considered short by most standards. He's like 210. He's a cinder block, man. He's probably got 90 or 100 pounds on her. I mean, this guy might be 5'8", but what do you think he puts up on a bench? 400? So no, even if she raises her hand on him, it is still not a reason for him to go because she is a woman. You don't hit women. Where are you people brought up? I don't know. Where I was brought up, I was taught you don't hit women ever for any reason. Like why? That's rule 1. Rule number 1 of the world. Rule 1A. Don't hit a woman, even if she raises her hand. And especially if you outweigh her by 100 pounds and you're in the hurting business and you play in the NFL. Don't hit a woman. All right, so he said you finish it. What he said was you lay her out. You lay her out. Then what? Then what? Then what? Do you get up and hammer fist her? Do you stomp on her head? What? She kept trying to get up? Was that what happened? She kept trying to get up? Ah, man, what kind of world do I live in? Anybody else? Anybody else want to set me straight? Thing is, she's not getting up because she's out cold. She's asleep on the elevator floor because this guy's 5'8", 215, and plays in the NFL and is extraordinarily strong. Extraordinarily strong. Look at him. He looks like a brick house. What? You mean to tell me he couldn't? A guy like that, okay, even if she, quote, raised her hand, he could not have restrained her? He couldn't have wrapped her up somehow? He couldn't have put her in a bear hug? The guy runs between the tackles in the NFL and trucks other NFLers. He could not have restrained his petite fiancée and just got her to settle down. He had to throw his hands. Man, this thing is just too much. There's certain topics that I cannot believe that I actually argue with you people about, and this is one of them. Let's go to Bodie. Bodie in Pearland, I'm hoping it just sets everybody straight. I gotta go with the voice of reason, because obviously mine is not resonating with anybody. Let's go to Bodie in Pearland. Hey, Bodie, what's up, Bubba?
Hey, Bubba. Bubba, I don't know where I'm going to go with this call. I have so many things to talk about. But the thing that's infuriating me are these callers, man. I mean, is this for real, Bubba? Are they just calling for the hell of it? Are they serious? I mean, Bubba, back in the day, if some bitch would have beat up my mama, I'm going to tell you a story. My mama's ex-husband was a bully and beat her up. You know what the hell happened to some bitch to beat her up? Two friends of my mama's that she just knew from high school went over there and broke both of that dude's legs. And we're talking about a suspension. I mean, this guy is carrying out his fiance, now his wife, in the elevator. I mean, it's sickening to see a woman is supposed to be your adornment. I mean, I'm so pissed off with, society, Jen. I'm sorry, Bubba, but I feel like just beating the hell out of some of these callers. And I better get off before I start cussing. I love you, Bubba. I thank you for your brains, Bubba. I love you. I'm out.
Rackham. That was handled like a vet. Like Bodie knew. Bodie was getting more and more angry and emotional, and he knew. And by the way, not to simplify this or make light of it in any way, he did what I'm asking all of you to do and what Ray Rice should have done. I'm in a bad spot. Emotions are running high. I might do something I'm going to regret. I got to get the hell out of here. That's what Bodie just did. I think I'm going to curse. I think I'm going to say something I'm going to regret. I got to hang up the phone right now. Much, much smaller level, of course. But if you're in a position where you think you're going to hit your fiancé, physically hit your fiancé, you better get the hell out of that situation as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not saying that there haven't been times in your life when you've been absolutely enraged with your wife, enraged with your girlfriend. Maybe she's pushing buttons. Maybe she knows which buttons to push. Maybe you're about to snap on her. Maybe she pushed you even. Maybe she pushed you. I mean, I've never had a physical relationship with a woman like that, so I have no idea. I can't even begin to relate to something like that. I mean, imagine, what if this is all true? Ray Rice knocked his fiancée out, but, what if she actually raised her hand first? What if she actually swung on him? What if she kicked him in the groin? The two of these people are getting married? They are married? How does that work? They got married shortly thereafter. I mean, if you fight with your spouse physically, or you fight with your fiancé physically, like you put your hands on each other, or you throw punches, or you shove, are you sure that's the right relationship? I'm not even sure you want to get married if you have constant arguments before the wedding. I know you sure as hell don't want to get married if either one of you cold cocks the other. I think a red flag would be, man, they always argue. They always argue about really important things, too. Things like they drink too much, he drinks too much, she spends too much money, he wants kids, she doesn't want kids. Maybe you don't get married if you argue, and definitely you don't get married if you both throw hands. Discinator at Jim Rome tweets, it's feminism. Women want to be treated the same as men. You hit me, and you're a man. You'll be hit back. Think about that one, bud. Yeah, I've thought about it already. I don't buy it. When they're looking for equal rights, they're not looking to get punched in the face. It's feminism. You want to be treated like a man, you fight like a man. What a world. All right, we'll keep this thing going. We're halfway through it. We've got a lot to get done. All right, Bill Romanowski is not going to appear today. He is ill. Get better, Romo. I've actually got Chuck Martin coming up next. He is the head football coach at Miami of Ohio. Stay tuned for that. And then, man, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Then, you know what happens then? Open phones the rest of the way. Do your best. Keep this thing coming. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. Welcome back. Summer temperature has placed added stress on your battery, especially one that's about to fail. Get yours tested for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Right now, we are talking Miami of Ohio football in the jungle. He was hired as their head football coach in December. He spent the last 4 years as an assistant at Notre Dame. 74-7 record as a head coach at Grand Valley State, including Division II national titles. Miami coming off a winless season, but they've got a new head coach and a new voice. Chuck Martin is my guest. Chuck, great to have you on the show. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing great. It's great to be on the show.
It's good to have you on the show. All right, so the old expression is there is no such thing as a good coaching opening. Miami went 0-12 last season. They lost every game by an average of 26 points. You had a great gig as the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. You had a lot of success as a head coach prior to that. So why did you take this job?
Number of different factors. One, the tradition at Miami from academics to football. Academically, it's one of the finest schools in the country. I'm coming from Notre Dame, very, very used to and very comfortable, and really enjoy recruiting student athletes and really enjoy helping kids see success beyond football. So it was right in my wheelhouse from an academic standpoint. Then the cradle coaches in the football tradition. Miami had a run of 8 losing seasons in 63 years, starting when Woody Hayes took over through Terry Hepner's area. So it's a pretty historic place when it comes to coaching. And then the third piece was just a challenge. You don't get anywhere in life if you don't take some risks and step out on a limb and won't accept a challenge. And the idea, I've done a lot of things in my career with my assistant coaches has helped me, but to take over this program, basically start from scratch and rebuild it was something that we really haven't done, so we're looking forward to that opportunity.
Miami of Ohio football coach Chuck Martin, my guest. So let me stay on point number 3. You were looking for a challenge. You knew you had a rebuilding job when you got there, but when you first arrived and you asked who led the team in touchdowns, what was the response?
They told me the Dajuan Scott had 2 last year. That was the response. So that was one of the more humorous things that has happened since I took over. So I knew they had only averaged 9 points a game, so I wasn't anticipating that it was somebody had 15 or 20 touchdowns. But I was a little bit shocked when I heard that the guy that led our team in touchdowns only had 2.
Chuck, 2. I mean 2. And then you hear a stat like that, and you also find out that while Miami gained a total of 1 yard in the second half of a loss to Cincinnati last season. Look, you've been around this thing a long time, but when you find out that they had an actual yard in a loss in the second half and the leader in touchdowns had 2, at any point did you think to yourself, exactly what did I get myself into?
No, I knew it. Now, Miami's people that know Miami, and I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Chicago, and I would say most people that know MAC football think I have the best job in the league. I know it says 0-12, and I know they've struggled the last few years, but the combination of football and academics and then the campus life and even the town of Oxford, it's a pretty powerful combination to beat. And then, to take over a program that has a history of being successful but is down is a pretty good opportunity for you as a coach.
Chuck Martin, my guest. Chuck, just one more thought about why you went there. Correct me if I'm wrong, did you not take a massive pay cut to take that job? And if so, how come?
Yes, I did. And it was more for me, my family. Everybody discounts when they talk about players and coaches moving. They really don't understand that there's more than just the person. There's a family involved. There's a wife. There's kids. And then there's other people involved, too, for me. There's assistant coaches involved that I wanted to hook back up with and hire. So to me, it doesn't necessarily always come down to the money, although money is obviously a major factor. We have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence in my ability. I have a lot of confidence with the guys I was going to hire that we could get this turned around. And I'm always thinking long-term, not short-term. Yeah, I gave up a lot of money for 1 year or 2 years, but I think our earnings potential is pretty good long-term. And I think this move is a long-term great move for me, my family, and my assistant coaches.
Obviously, you were betting on yourself. Chuck Martin is my guest. Now, your recruiting pitch, in part, to players that are going to come is, I'm going to kick your ass every day. What do you mean by that, and how does an ass-kicking sell when you're out on the recruiting trail?
Well, everybody has their different approach, but a lot of now with this being big business, there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of used car salesmen, there's a lot of begging, pleading, forcing, and we try to take a little different approach. You know, we're in it for these kids, and we're in it for their development on and off the field. And part of them being developed is me not being easy on them every day. And we always tell them, if you want it easy, don't come play football for us. If you want us to pat you on the back every day for the rest of your 4-year career and tell you how great you are, I'll do that, but that's not going to help you get to where you want to go. I want on the field for you to help us win championships, and I want to develop you into an NFL player, and that takes a lot of hard work. And you may even be the best player in Miami, but you still may not be good enough to play in the NFL. So my goal in mind is to develop you at a level that you're going to know what it takes to play at the highest level. Then the same thing in the classroom, and then the same thing socially of, hey, it's not always a pat on the back. We're going to set high goals here, and we're going to work, and we're going to challenge you and push you every day to see if you can get the most out of what God gave you. We always say you can't control your God-given talent, but you can control how hard you work to get to that point. And we're going to make sure if they come to us that they understand that we're committed to their lives and them being excellence. And I always tell kids that, hey, there's sometimes that I'm going to think you can do things that you don't think you can do, and you're just going to have to deal with that, and you're going to have to figure out that maybe my unrealistic expectations, that if you work real hard, you maybe achieve even more than you believe you can.
Chuck Martin joining us. Chuck, you touched on this when we started, but in Miami, just like Notre Dame, there's a commitment to both academics and athletics. As a coach, it would certainly be easier for you to be at a place that is not as interested in academics. Is that something, though, that would interest you?
Not at all. It's hard for me. Some of the national graduation rates is hard for me to stomach. The amount of money we make in Division I athletics and football and basketball, and to think that, you know, graduation rates should be in the 80s to 90s. We have all these resources at all these schools with tutors and all these all these specialists that help these Division I athletes, but we're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and coaches are making millions of dollars off these kids, and we're graduating kids at a much lower percentage than we should. And the sad thing is, they go on, and when they're 30, they're having a hard time functioning in the world, and we're still making millions of dollars. So to me, I'm always been committed. I'm an old Division III non-scholarship athlete that went to school to get a degree, and I played football because I want to do something with my free time. No one paid me to play college football. So to me, we're committed, and I'm definitely committed at finding schools that are going to graduate kids and are committed to graduating kids, just like they're committed to make their hundreds of millions of dollars.
Chuck, let me ask you about Cullen Finnerty. He played quarterback for you at Grand Valley State. He won 3 national titles there. He disappeared in the forest in Michigan before his body was ultimately found. What can you tell me about him? What was he like as a person? What was he like to coach?
He's probably the funnest kid I've ever coached, the most competitive human being I've ever been around. Everybody says, well, he plays like a linebacker. He truly played quarterback like a linebacker. There was things he would do on a field that I've never seen quarterbacks even attempt to do. And there was things he would say to you, the things he'd say to you during games where he put so much pressure on himself and had so much belief in his own ability. I would try to coach him on things, and he would be beating himself up twice as hard as of what I was trying to tell him to do. And he was an amazing young man, and he definitely was those that made those around him much better, just because his belief that if Cullen was in the room, everything was going to be all right. And that's kind of, we rode him for 4 years. Coach Kelly won his last national title at Grand Valley when he was a freshman. Then I won 2 more with him his junior and senior year. So he's going to live in our hearts forever.
You know, you were part of that search party that looked for him and that ultimately found him. I can only imagine how difficult that must have been. Can you put into words what the experience was like?
Yeah, that was the worst day of my life so far. So it wasn't even close. There was, you know, the type of person he was, there was probably 400 people there searching for him, you know, that we heard that, hey, there was a chance that he might still be alive, or there's a good chance that we thought he was going to be alive. And pretty much everyone that knew Cullen dropped wherever they. I was driving to work that morning, I mean, literally, and I got a call, and I turned my car around, started heading north, and I was one of many, many people that did that. And then we found him later that day, and I unfortunately was part of the group that found him, and pretty bad. No good words to describe how bad we felt. So it was a disaster of a day and a sad situation. But he's done a lot for a lot of people, and is still doing a lot for a lot of people, just what he taught us.
And I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. We are talking Miami of Ohio football here in the jungle. Chuck, great to have you on the show. Really good to talk to you. And let's do it again soon. That was fun.
Would love to.
That was great, Chuck. Thank you. He's not playing now. Chuck Martin, quote, I'm going to kick your ass every day. No nonsense. Hey, listen, there's a reason. If we're going to talk about a football team that went 0-12 last year, there's got to be a pretty good reason, and he's it. I like that message. There aren't too many people you put on the show that you want to be better and you want to do better because you know they expect better. Quote, I'm going to kick your ass every day. Don't come here if you want to be patted on the back for the next 4 years. All right. Anybody want to react to it? They were fired up. Fans of that program have been tweeting about that this morning. They're fired up to hear their coach. He came in. He nailed it. Anybody want to talk Miami of Ohio football? I want to hear from you. I loved his take, too. And keep in mind, he was a coordinator at Notre Dame making a lot more money than he's making now as a head coach at Miami of Ohio. I said, Chuck, how do you do that? He said, because I know I'm going to lose some money this year and maybe next year, but I'm going to get it all back because I believe in me and my staff. In short, he's betting on himself. All right, we will break. As I look forward to the rest of the program, we have no other interviews planned. 2 words, clones. 2 of the scariest words ever uttered by anybody, anywhere, at any time. Open phones. Yeah. 2 other extremely scary words strung together. Toll free. 1-800-636-8686. Bring it. This is CBS Sports Radio. You're listening to the Auto Parts Studio. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. This guy says, you want 2 scarier words than open phones? I've got him. Dana Point. I'll give it 2 awesome words. Applesauce. I don't really know why this is, especially somebody my age, but I'm having applesauce right now, and it's just kick ass. 3 words, applesauce, kick ass. I bring my lunch every single day. We don't eat out. We all brown bag. And there's that one idiot in the office that keeps dropping fish in the microwave oven, too. Somebody hit me the other day with, hey, did you find that guy? No, that's the problem. He's like a fish terrorist. I mean, I don't know where this guy is. I don't know how he's stealth about it. I know he's messing with me right now. And you know what really pisses me off? He's getting over. I can't find the guy. And I never know when that fish bomb is coming. All right, so we go into our 3rd hour. We are wide open. 1-800-636-8686. I think we've hit this issue pretty hard, but let's get to the end of the week and finish it off. I gave you my thoughts on Ray Rice and the fact that the punishment does not fit the crime. And I think the Ravens are embarrassing. I really do. The reaction to it, to me, while not as bad as the crime itself, it's bordering on it. Nothing's as bad as punching a woman. The only thing that is even on the same level is me having to argue with people that punching a woman is the worst thing ever. That people keep calling the show and saying, hey, Rome, you don't really know. I don't need to know. This is my point. I don't need to know. No matter what scenario you could conjure up as to what may have happened in that elevator, I don't care. An NFL player knocked out his fiancée. If you're a man, you do not hit a woman. Period. That's why I don't care about the circumstances or what may have happened. I don't care. You don't hit women. Period. So if you want to weigh in, you're running out of time. Do it this hour. Marshawn Lynch. Come to find out, he ain't always about that action, boss. Remember in the past when you try and talk to him or interview him, he's like, hey, I'm just about the action, boss. I'm just about that action, boss. Maybe not. Not if he's going to hold out. Not if he's threatening to retire. 2 things that could happen. And I do want to talk about scandal at Ohio State. Romeus Prime, the idiot caller who thinks that a woman becomes a man if she gets physical with one, should have Rice blast him in the face and see if it's fair then. I almost threw my coffee cup across the room. I was so jacked up. What next? Your child is throwing a tantrum, so you try to calm them down. They flail their arms around and pop you in the face. Sorry, son. You just stepped into man's land. And then you proceed to lay out your child for hitting a man? What a joker. Tyrell in the a.k.a. Alaska, not Arkansas. Exactly. Yeah, that whole argument. I mean, that guy literally, look, let's be fair. There are idiots who I think are calling just to do it. And now they're making things up. And they're playing games. But I think that caller who said, if a woman raises her hand, she is now a man and will be treated as such. That guy was not kidding. He meant it. All right, so if that's the point, you know, for the same reason adults don't beat on kids, men don't beat on women. It's an unfair fight and it's just wrong. But by that logic, if a woman raises her hand and she enters into the man zone, if a kid raises his hand, does he also enter into the man zone, and can you knock him out? Hey, Rome, I know he's a kid, but he raised his hand. If a woman raises her hand, and that makes her a man, and then you knock her out, in my opinion, that's when you stop being a man. I mean, what are you saying? Like when the quarterback tucks the ball, then he becomes a ball carrier, and then you can hit him? Is that where you're going with that? When a woman raises her hand, she becomes a man, and then you can hit her? This is getting more ridiculous by the very second, honestly. Just me even presiding over this is making me dumber every second. I started the show relatively bright, and now I'm relatively dull. You're bringing me down. Hey, Snags, you packing applesauce for lunch? Badass, dude. Signed, adults who drink juice boxes. Ken in Chicago, right? Man, I hate it when I try and jam that straw into the carton and it won't go in. War Rome chasing his sauce with a fruit roll-up while he plays his Game Boy. Man, it's all true. All true. Now, it's not like Mott's applesauce. I have this food service that's paleo. Never mind. You're right. Hey, Rome, Lunchables does applesauce? No, but if they did, I'd buy it. I should probably tweet out a picture of my applesauce so you know that I'm not like a little kid. But I'll tell you what, if you want to drop a fruit roll-up on me, I'll take one of those. Applesauce is badass. And the one guy who agrees with me is none other than Kyle Brandt, because Kyle Brandt has an invention that he's trying to get patented. Kyle Brandt thinks that his ticket out of this show to the fast lane where he can be extraordinarily wealthy and retire early is him patenting applesauce on oatmeal. Mix them up. Kyle Brandt's take is hot oatmeal and cold applesauce is perfect. And if I could just get the patent or somebody to help me manufacture and distribute, I'd be rich. Rich, Van Smack. Capital R-I-C-H. Rich. All right, so for the record, I do not have a fruit roll-up and I do not have a Game Boy. I've got an iPhone. I've got an LG G3, but I do not have a Game Boy. Let's go to the phones. We go to Philadelphia. Jake in Philly. Hey, Jake, how are you?
Hey, Romy. How you doing today?
Man, I'm so good. How about you, Jake?
Hey, good. Long-time clone, way back from the Crapchester Buffalo days when we were begging you for a tour stop up there.
Awesome.
But this is the first time I've called in 15 years listening to you. On a disgusted scale of 1 to 10, what Ray Rice did, Romy, is like a 50. And I don't know how anyone could defend it. The NFL could have said, this won't be tolerated, right? And they tap him on the wrist with a foam ruler. I mean, it's ridiculous, Rome. And real quick, if I can just get 15, 20 seconds, let me give you the inspirational story of Darrell Washington, Arizona Cardinal linebacker. Last March 2013, he got pinched in the P test for smoking grass. Goodell lowers the boom with a 4-game suspension. Less than a month later, he beats the heck out of the mother of his 5-month-old kid. Beats the heck out of her. Broken collarbone. Scrape marks up and down her body. Choke marks around her neck. And a month later, they uphold the 4-game pot suspension, and the NFL, Goodell, Mr. Commish, specified this is for the substance abuse. And how many games did he play last year? He could have gotten the whole year. He was now a second offender. He could have got 8 games, 12 games. He played 12 games. He was not suspended for the abuse 1 game. But hey, he's only 6'2", 240, and I'm sure she had it coming. I'm sure she said something mean and nasty to him. It's ridiculous, Romy. I love the stance you're taking on this, but hey, karma comes around. He smoked his weed again this offseason, so he's out all of 2014. So maybe if he had beat her up last year with weed in his hand, he would have gotten 3 years. That's all I got, Romy. Thanks.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate you. Thanks for being with me. All the way back to the Crapchester days when they did get a toy stop and it was one of the best ones ever. And he makes a very good point. Again, if you're going to be on the wrong side of Roger Goodell, you're better off punching your wife than you are blowing or burning blunts, because they're more punitive in that. It makes no sense whatsoever. And, again, the NFLPA is in the middle of this, and it's collectively bargained, and that's what they agreed to. It's backwards. Smoking dope and doing it repeatedly is not as bad as punching your fiancée and turning her lights out once. Doing roids is not as bad as assaulting your lady. Domestic violence is worse. But not according to the league. Not according to the commissioner. I mean, for him to go out and say, yeah, I'm very satisfied, Ray, that you understand what you did and you're trying to make things right and you're going to be much better for this moving ahead. You're making the right choices now. Yeah, great. I really don't care what he's doing right now. I care about what he did. And what he did is deplorable. And I cannot believe that the Ravens are upset. You got over. He punched out his fiancée and only got 2 games. You people should be having a party. It could have been so much worse. It should have been so much worse. And you're upset that came down on the first day of training camp? You should be thanking the commissioner. You've got him in your back pocket. There was a report from Peter King that they were, quote, chapped. That came down on the first day of training camp. So that combined with John Harbaugh saying, quote, it's not a big deal. This is aggravating as hell to me. Hey, how about we're really, really disappointed? We're not going to tolerate this. We're not going to stand for this. How about the team says that? How about the NFL says that? How about the Ravens say we are extremely disappointed? We are not going to tolerate this, rather than Ray Rice is a hell of a guy. That's a great guy. Because that's what they're saying. How about we're not going to tolerate this instead of it's not that big a deal. Not that big a deal. We're not focused on that. Oh, and by the way, he will be playing in the preseason. He will be playing in the preseason. And what could they possibly be upset about other than they've got a player who did something like that? I mean, how is up, down, backwards, forwards, black, white? This whole thing is twisted. All right, we'll come back. I'm going to lighten the load. I'm going to talk about something that's going to make everybody very happy. Ohio State has tried to sexualize their band. That sounds fun, right? I thought being in the band was for dorks. Apparently not. It's for freaks. Stay tuned. That's coming up. When you are the top dog in your business, you see all the best deals first, plain and simple, which is why some of the leading floor manufacturers in the world come to Lumber Liquidators before anybody else, because Lumber Liquidators is the undisputed champion of flooring. Well, they have acquired truckloads of amazing deals from brands like Armstrong, and they are passing the savings along to you this week only. For instance, how about clearance? This email says, "Good Sir James, you're just not understanding, son. There are times, however rare, that you need to slap a lass around to make your bloody point." Signed, Sean Connery.
You did an interview in which you said, it's not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist. It's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
You haven't?
No, not at all.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
You don't think it's bad?
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it. Yeah.
Oh, what would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, they can't leave it alone. They don't want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
All right, notice that was not a call from this show this week. That was not like Joe in Detroit. That was Sean, like Sean in Scotland. That was not William in Idaho. That was Sean in Scotland. Sir Sean, if I'm not mistaken. Sean Connery. Good take, Bond. Very, very good take, Bond. You know, sometimes they just don't listen. The only thing missing from that was, you know what, Barbara, you push it again, I may slap you. Good take, Sean. Good take, Bond. Fred the 909. Mountain Dew guy. All right, let me bring something else up. Let's talk to you Bills fans for one moment. You might want to dust off your slippery when wet cassettes, because you may burn them. Apparently not all of you think that John Bon Jovi coming in and possibly buying that franchise is a good idea. Not when you find out that his group has reportedly investigated the potential for building a Bills stadium in Toronto. Uh-oh! I would tell you to keep the faith, Buffalo. But this isn't just a bad sign, it is bad medicine. I did say earlier this week, you've got a lease. And there's time on that lease. And if they were to buy the way out of the lease, it would cost a lot of money. But that lease will end one day. And if they're exploring the potential for building a stadium in Toronto, then it's on their mind. Bon Jovi has tried to assure fans that he will not be moving that team. That's fine. Then why are you exploring the potential of a new stadium in Toronto? It's not just a bad sign to me. That's bad medicine. Bad medicine. You know what else is bad medicine to a lot of Bills fans? The fact that Bon Jovi is tight with Bill Belichick. You know, how can this guy own our franchise and be friends with the enemy? How does that work? How do we know he won't run it into the ground? I don't know. Bills fans, where do you come out on this? Point blank, I'm just going to ask you straight up. Do you want Bon Jovi as your owner? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that he'd be successful? Do you think he could turn this thing around? Or do you think he will take your football team and ultimately move it to Toronto, and before he does that, talk to Bill Belichick about the plays you run? And believe me, man, Belichick, he wants Bon Jovi in there so badly. He's tired of banging his head against the wall. If only Bill Belichick could find a way to beat Buffalo. How do I beat these guys year after year after year after year? It's almost like they have our playbook. It's like they know what we're going to run before we run it. How do I beat these guys? Hey, John, why don't you go buy that team and kind of help me out? Yeah, I can do that, Bill. It'll be like some bad medicine. I get it. I see what you did there. Bills fans, do you think it's a good idea? I mean, he's obviously very creative, artistic, smart, successful, wealthy. Or do you see him as opportunistic, looking to move your team, and he's friends with the enemy? Do you like it or not? Let's see what this guy thinks. Let me see the subject of his email. The subject reads, and I quote, Bon Jovi is a bag. Ray Rice is a scumbag. This email reads, quote, Hey, John, Bon Jovi.
Hey, John.
Stop making two-faced comments about how you are going to, quote, do what's right after you buy the Buffalo Bills. Nobody believed you before, and definitely don't now that you're shopping for locations in Toronto. We know you're boys with the hoodie, but we don't need another Judas traitor trench coat here in Western New York. If you think you're taking our team out of Buffalo, you are living on a prayer, my man. Unwar beating your fiancé and only getting 2 games. Unwar a woman raising her hand and becoming a man and treated as such. War Bills Mafia. War E.J. Manuel. They're going to need some help defensively. E.J. Manuel, I think he's going to be better. He definitely will be a different quarterback this year than he was last year, but do not expect that guy to win games all by himself. He's going to need some help. And I mean more than what he has in the backfield. He's going to need some help defensively. Do not put it all on him. If Bon Jovi owns that team, unless they win every single week, there's going to be a reset of one of his song titles every single week. Because all of those songs fit into something relating to a loss. Bills get bounced out of a playoff run. That loss, oh man, that loss, how do I describe it? That loss was a shot to the heart. A shot to the heart. This season, well, there goes another season laid down in a bed of roses. Bills? Boy, the Bills are giving football a bad name. Never say goodbye? Actually, now would be a great time to say goodbye. Bills 2014 season. Have a nice day. Bills jacked up by the Pats again. Man, that is just bad medicine. Their entire catalog would read every single Monday in the newspaper or online. Every one of his song titles would fit a loss for the Bills. I don't know, boy. Bills fan, do you want him or not? That's what I'm trying to ask you. Are there any members of the Buckeye Band listening right now? If you play the piccolo for the Buckeye Band, I'd like you to call in and tell me what it was like. Because when you hear Scandal and Ohio State in the same sentence, you normally think Jim Tressel's vest and you think Gordon Gee's bow tie. The one thing you do not think is the woodwind section getting hazed while the dudes with the oboes get their perv on. Any pervy oboe players listening right now? Apparently that's what was going down at the Ohio State. The trumpeters at OSU are more sexed up than the winners on the AVNs, apparently. Did that the other night. Went out to dinner. Look, I'll be straight. Went out to dinner, had an adult beverage. Good night. Good Saturday night. Came home with the wife, Janet and I, about ready to call it a night, flipping around TV. Oh, the AVNs. No way I'm going to end my night without checking that out. Man, that's a freaky, pervy set, the AVNs. But apparently they've got nothing on the Ohio State Band. I interrupt my Ohio State Band for more Bon Jovi reaction. Z Bass 10 at Jim Rome. Quote, if Bon Jovi buys the Bills, I will personally buy every piece of his merch I can get my hands on and burn it into the ground. They burned it in the ground. Hashtag Bills Mafia. That's a vote against. Chris in St. Pete. Hey, Jim Rome. Or at Jim Rome. Hey, John. I like the way they start everything with, hey, John.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
If you move the team to Toronto, I will be there for the stadium's ribbon cutting. I'll cut it. Cut it like a knife.
Like a knife.
It's clever, Chris. I'll tell you something else. If he moves that team from Buffalo to Toronto, he'll be wanted. He'll be wanted dead or alive. Hey, Alvin, have a nice day. Alvin's freaking out. Alvin's like, dude, it's just jacked up. I mean, I've got the week that was coming up, and all of a sudden you guys break out some rant on the fly about the catalog, the Bon Jovi catalog. It's not right. Dude, it's not fair. I mean, do you want your week that was or not? Hey, Alvin, have a nice day, all right? I mean, dudes, why are you mocking me like this? I do this every single week. I put up with your bull crap, you and Jim, Kyle, and Dave, and then now you break out the Bon Jovi catalog rap on me. It's just not cool, man. I'm putting my foot down. I've had enough. I'm going to go Marshawn Lynch. I'm holding out. I might retire. Oh, why don't you use bounce? If you put bounce in there, yeah, I can do that. See how you like me now. How you like me now, Van Smack? Shove it, Van Smack. Alvin, my question is, how do you have bounce but not have a nice day? Yeah, I got yellow submarine but not let it be. How you like me now? You know, and I feel invigorated. I've been putting up with your crap for a long time. Not anymore. It stops right now, Van Smack. You want bounce again? Bounce, bounce, bounce all the way down the street. Remember when Tony Soprano took over the Dolphins? It was like 3 months of Tony Soprano resets every single day. Who's his offensive coordinator? Paulie Walnuts? None of it was funny, and it went on every single day for like most of the first season. That's what's going to happen if Bon Jovi takes over the Bills. I mean, if that happens, and I've got to sit in this chair, there's only one thing to do. Bounce. I'm just going to bounce. Because I don't want to hear about Richie Sambora being the offensive coordinator. All right, Alvin. I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, Alvin, the week that was hopefully will be finished. I've got the gift card from O'Reilly's to give away to the huge tweet. $50 gift card. As always, come with something better than Rome. It's been a tough time. I need a new car battery. Please hook a brother up. I get like 100 of those every week when we get this card away. Just come with something different. You want to win? Do something different. This is CBS. Today's email contest is brought to you by Quicken Loans. Call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com for a free home loan review. Again, 800-QUICKEN, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS number 3030. All right, so it's 11:42 Pacific. That means the week that was couldn't possibly be 45 minutes or even an hour like it should be. But let's find out, because this has been an extremely wacky week here in the jungle with some of the worst telephone calls I've ever heard on this or any other show. Alvin, I cannot wait to see what you came up with. Roll it. Hey, Alvin, I'm serious about that week it was. I think it should be at least 20 minutes. If it's normally 4, it should be 20. A tremendous Monday to you. What's up? How was everybody? How was the weekend? All right, let me lay it out for you. First, your telephone number, 1-800-636-8686. We're in the middle of summer. I feel like taking phone calls.
We're closing Eagle.
Looks good.
They should have just filled the jug with Guinness right then and there and let him play Sunday hungover. It would not have mattered.
But the third baseline and Colby Lewis, not real happy.
That's not classless. That's chess. Code.
Mouth your mouth.
Cold. Doug Marone, what kind of an NFL owner do you think Bon Jovi would make?
I'm sure whoever becomes the owner of the team will be fine.
You're living on a prayer with that one, Rome. Nice try. Nice try.
I didn't realize you wanted to get into the songwriting.
I think a lot of us remember where we were when Buzz and Lance dropped down on the moon, but I think we all remember where we were when
you're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Ooh, we got hit again. Ramirez.
Ned Coletti.
I guess if it gets away, it gets away. A little interesting that Hanley will get hit 3 times by them, part of the game.
Matt Holliday.
You know, Hanley, we've hit him 2 or 3 times in the hand area, which is never good. You know, our pitchers, if they're going to pitch inside, got to have better command.
The very first Michael Sam distraction was just caused by a man admitting that he'd be afraid of the distraction. And the man who wrote a book called Quiet Strength is not showing any with a take like that. Very hypocritical and disappointing, I think.
Email.
Only your California attitude would call someone a bigot because of their religious beliefs.
What?
Well, I'm not saying keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear it. I'm saying I don't agree with it, and here's why. At least my take is reason. David in Houston.
This guy chose his lifestyle, and he has to take what comes with it.
How do you know that he had a choice in that lifestyle?
Because he could choose to be a man. He chooses to go and like men. The tougher choice is to be straight.
Why is that tougher?
It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Eric in Albuquerque.
You know, they're different. Similar to somebody that has Down syndrome, except the difference is that somebody with Down syndrome, they can't pretend to be normal. When you have somebody that's gay, they can choose to be straight.
Can we get back to flatulence? One of the worst takes I've ever heard. That Albuquerque caller made David in Houston look like a road skull.
Thank God he wasn't St. Louis Rams coach.
Could not have handled that any better than he did.
I have great respect for Coach Dungy.
He didn't get up on a soapbox, time and place, because his cause right now is trying to find a spot on the kickoff coverage coverage squad. Chandler Parsons, Dallas Maverick. Howard says, quote, it won't affect us at all.
Knowing him, I know he didn't mean it. He has to stick up for the Rockets. I think it's a ridiculous statement.
Andrew McCutcheon, you're a self-admitted fan of Devious Maids, right?
That's right. It's one of those shows that the name of it may get to you. Watching it with my lovely fiance one day, and next thing you know, get locked in.
Art in Humboldt.
Raiders, get off our porch, man. It's not a commitment to mediocrity. Watching our brand new stadium get polluted with losing. On the other hand, I'm out.
In Tucson. Hey, Robert, what's up?
I say, erect a statue with proceeds from Viagra. What really sold me on the idea of the statue is pigeons got a crap.
Committed to mediocrity. Nick Young.
Like I've been saying, Jim, I'm a star, and I've been a star for a long time. Y'all just can see it. I remember back in the day with me and you, when you came to SC, hanging out with me and Gabe.
Smoking dope a couple of times is going to get you a much longer suspension than knocking out your fiancée and dragging her out of an elevator.
It's not a big deal.
2 games to me is a joke. I can't reconcile that. That makes no sense to me.
I have respect for that guy. I mean, that guy.
Mike in Detroit.
Dealing with a black female, man, they have a way of just going off on you in a way that you would not believe, man. It will make you go straight lose it on them. Dealing with a black female, he's dealing with a totally different breed.
I've never had a week where I've had more than one moment where I've said, you know what, I think that's the worst take I've ever heard. I've had at least 3 of those moments this week.
Similar to somebody that has Down syndrome.
The tougher choice is to be straight.
You don't have a lot of time for me to explain.
Well, I got plenty of time for this. I may stay after the show is over.
It's good for kids to understand that it works that way.
Denver. Hi, Lorraine. How are you?
I don't care what she did to him. You do not lay your hands on someone. And he knocked her out unconscious. And that's okay because she's black.
William McCallum, when other schools came in, was your father there?
It was very awkward. Billy Donovan sitting at my kitchen table with my mom, my dad on my left and right.
Mr. Goodell, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I do. Sure, you found some firearms, but it's not like you found weed on him. Anwar Richardson.
Nice to finally talk to you, Jim. I actually went to one of your tour stops in Tampa.
Is that the one where Ray Buchanan got up and rapped?
Classic and epic. Yes, my man.
San Antonio, Larry.
Cheated on the girlfriend, and then she started pretty much ass whoopy. And I got the hell out of there. Absolutely no reason.
William in Idaho.
A woman raises her hand to you like a man. She has stepped into that man's position to defend herself. If that's what it's got to take to lay her out, then do it.
What kind of world do I live in?
Is this for real? I feel like just beating the hell out of some of these callers. And I better get off before I start.
Chuck Martin is my guest. I am going to kick your ass every day.
If you want it easy, don't come play football for us.
Have a nice day. You like me now, man. Smash. Gene Rayburn's Mike. Good luck with that. 300-pound bench every day smoker.
Brady Quinn. Joe, get that on tape.
On the other hand,
Joel Embiid.
On Twitter.
Roger, go to hell.
This thing is just too much.
It's a choice.
Down syndrome.
Lay her out.
good night now.
Alvin, no wonder you were so uptight. Extremely well played. Good job, Alvin. Good job. You know the week was just totally out of hand and crazy when we had to break out the emergency flatulence take to break it all up. We'll come back, and when we do, I've got that Twitter contest. Last chance for the $50 gift card from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tweet at Jim Rome. Best tweet wins. We'll have it for you next. On your vehicle's battery, get your battery tested for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. The huge tweet winner gets a $50 gift card thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. La Mystica tweets at Jim Rome. If Charlie Strong was the coach at Georgia, there probably wouldn't even be a football team this season. M. Kalini 9 at Jim Rome. This is the letter that the Ohio State marching band famously has a celebrity complete on game day. What is X?
What is X?
No, Kareem. No. Vic in NoCal. I tried to beat up my kid once after he threw a tantrum and raised his hand at me. I got my ass kicked. Joe in the OC. Lee and Van. On a SARS horse I ride. JBJ. On a SARS horse I ride. Dan Louisville at Jim Rome. So, Knobloch threw a humidifier at his ex. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It's good for kids. Signed, John Harbaugh.
It's good for kids to understand that it works that way.
Gene Rayburn's Mike tweets at Jim Rome. I'm betting you're wishing this week that was the week that blank. I'm betting you're wishing the week that was the week that blank. The week that didn't suck? The week that wasn't? The week that is? I don't know, Gene, but you win. Gift cards on the way. Gene Rayburn's Mike wins it. This guy's got the freshest angle right now. He's got a great handle, and he turns all of his tweets into the form of the handle. Different, smart, it's clever. Gene Rayburn's Mike. All that guy has to do is keep coming up with one of those every single week. He'll probably win the gift card every week. Huge call today brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Turn your favorite 5 Hour Energy concoction into a share of $100,000. For more details, go to 5houryummification.com.
Are you freaking kidding me? I'm a 50-year-old man, and I could tell you that when I was a younger man, I cheated on the girlfriend, and then she started going wacko on me, kicking me in my groin, going upside my head, pretty much ass whoopee. And as all I did was I did place my hands on her. I put my hands around her and restrained her until she calmed down, and then I got the hell out of there. There is absolutely no reason, and that's absolutely sick. I've lost all respect for Jim Harbaugh. Hey, diddle, Ray Rice up the river. I mean, this guy should be put away for a little time. It's ridiculous, the message we're sending. And what is Harbaugh and his team thinking? I mean, it's just an absolute church. And Roger, go to hell. I mean, please, 2 games. I'm just astonished, Jim. I just cannot believe it.
How'd that taste, Roger, go to hell? Larry in San Antonio, outraged. Now we are done. My thanks to Anwar Richardson, Chuck Martin, the head football coach at Miami of Ohio, the XR4TI crew, killing it. You clones. Well, we had ourselves a week, did we not? All right, have a great weekend, y'all. Kyle Brandt is going to lay out the sixer to get you ready for the weekend. Look for that on Rome on CBS Sports Network. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Check your local listings. We'll see you then.